3rd and 3. Need to make a move.
Why did he wait so long to go? Put your head down. Go. Go for it. Just get 2 more yards.
Welcome back to 5-Star Matchup. If you like what we do, please consider becoming a member here on YouTube or contributing to our Patreon for exclusive goodies and access to our Discord server. Well, friends, it's another week and another matchup with one of the league's best for one of the league's worst, as our beloved but horrible Pittsburgh Steelers take on the phenomenal Philadelphia Eagles. Does young Kenny P have it in him to take down the league's only undefeated team? Let's take a look. Start this one off with a typical tote for nothing by the Najee man who couldn't find a hole if it hit him in the head, followed by an almost sack and then an actual sack, and Matt Canada's gang charges off the field just as quickly and mercifully as they trotted onto it. Over to the Eagles, who actually employ an offense, and it's just too much to think about on a 4th and 2 RPO. Did you know other teams can run these with great success? Couple plays later, and doesn't it always hurt more when it's your best player getting dunked on? I know AJ Brown is a really good player, but I'm not giving Minka any excuses on this one. He misjudged this badly and thought he had an easy pick floating to him. Absolutely no way an all-pro can let this one get completed. Continues to be a rough around the edges year for number 39. Shifty diontae type stuff gets the offense moving, followed by an in-rhythm throw to Claypool, who has earned more targets if you ask me. But has anyone on this team ever even seen a legal formation? Procedural penalties continue to absolutely kill the Steelers' under-seasoned offensive unit, and poor Kenny P takes the brunt of it here on an absolutely crushing sack, until he gets bailed out by a defensive holding. But fret not, Matt Canada still can't get the plays in time, and Pickett doesn't notice the clock expiring, so let's back it right back up again. Shotgun handoff goes to Jalen Warren, who does something oh so foreign. He finds a hole and gallops for a chunk on the ground. Let me ask you a question. Which Steelers running back looked more dynamic yesterday? 2nd and 7 now, and there's always money in the Muth man, who finds some space in this defense for a huge gainer, and you better grab those black and gold suspenders because the Steelers are taking a rare trip into the business zone. I'm not sure what it says about Kenny that the 2 things I've been most pleasantly surprised about with his game are his scrambling ability and his sneaks, but either way, a nice scramble gets him inside the 10. A run and target to DJ fail to get it done, but a weird defensive penalty pushes the ball a little closer, and thankfully Mike realizes a field goal would be literally useless, and they go for it. What else is new? A reverse to Claypool, who throws it to Derek Watt for the score. Who knew the bank was a lefty? Nice play call at the 1 for the Steelers, who tie this game up. You gotta wonder, was this the moment Matt Canada has been setting up with these reverses for the last 2 years? We watch Matt Canada enjoy possibly the greatest moment he'll ever have as an offensive coordinator in the NFL, and it's back over to the Birds. Does Alex Highsmith need contacts? But everybody keeps telling me he's been really good. How come the Steelers can't even blitz well anymore? I understand that without TJ you're not going to get home as often, but man, football is a numbers game, and teams like the Eagles and Chiefs seem to be aware of that, while the Steelers seem to be clueless to that rudimentary fact. Into the 2nd quarter now, and just watch this defense. What is anybody doing? 3 Steelers coverage players are doing exactly 0, while Goddard is completely uncovered. Are we playing the same sport? 3rd and 8, and Hurts says, "Fuck your dink, I'm going for the dunk," and he chills in a serene and peaceful pocket until he flicks a bomb out to that man again, AJ Brown, who really ought to send a brute basket to Akello Witherspoon, who had his worst day as a Steeler. And I'll just acknowledge that I've never been high on Witherspoon, and I continue to believe corner is as bad of a position group as there is on this roster. Over to Kenny Pickett and the Sour Patch Kids, and are we sure Najee isn't wearing a contact magnet vest? Steelers still don't know what a formation is. When people say the coordinator stinks, this is what they're talking about. I get the idea behind this play for the Steelers. You're backed up deep with a rookie quarterback. Let's just get some space, right? But it's that numbers game again. This play is so telegraphed, and you're going to ask Gentry to get out there and block that DB? Filed under never going to f***ing happen, Matt. Oh, just put me out of my f***ing misery. Bring out press for another shitty punt already. Eagles are now just running practice plays during the game as they run a disastrous receiver screen that looks like it was designed by Safari Hat Matt, and the Steelers, for the time being, are hanging a little tough. While we're all rooting for KP, it's also fair to say he's not playing that well, even if a lot is going against him. 3rd and 10 and chance to extend the drive here. He misses DJ on a wide open crosser underneath and instead tries his best to rifle in what would need to be a perfect pass to Muth. And this drive is just another fart in the wind for the toothless Steelers offense. Just play the tape from before. You already know you can't keep giving good teams chances, and Hurts takes the birds right down the field, culminating in another chunk dunk on Akello and Minka, almost in the exact same spot as before, and the Eagles take an insurmountable 21-7 lead. Because the Steelers can't do anything right, they finally get Pickens involved, but he gets a ticky-tack PI call. Then they run the same thing and he makes the catch again, but it gets ruled incomplete. Mike chooses not to challenge it as Steelers Nation furiously tweets, "But it's a catch." I'm not so sure myself, but Pickett says "fuck y'all" and does it himself on 3rd and 4th, and the Steelers are nearing midfield. Nice pair of in-rhythm throws to the bank and the Muth, and shockingly the Steelers are again moving it a bit, albeit with dink after dink and no dunks in sight. Biggest weakness for Pickett so far has been his reps in the red zone, and here he faces a 3rd and 7 with a chance to really make this a game headed into half. Unfortunately for him, Matt Canada is the one designing plays, and he has literally nowhere to even take a shot and has to eat another coverage sack, ending any hope that this would be a one-score game at half. Steelers tried out fake Boz for the whatever field goal, and it's a 21-10 game. On the kickoff, too? Is this a joke? Steelers D shows a backbone, but their offense shows anything but, and we head into the half with an 11-point lead for the Birds. Hey, don't hold it against me that the Steelers suck, I'm just calling it as I see it. If you like the show and appreciate the effort it takes, please consider becoming a member at patreon.com/5SMU. You get a cool welcome envelope and access to our awesome Discord server/support group. Trust me, it's worth it in times like these. Now roll the game. Quote of the year from Mike here.
We're going to be fine offensively.
Really? Well, just as Mike acknowledges that the offense is going to be fine, the defense continues to be anything but, as the Eagles fly right down the field with minimal resistance, putting up another touchdown in no time at all. And if this was ever a game, it certainly isn't now. Eagles up 28-10, and in case you were wondering, your Pittsburgh Steelers have only scored 28 points or more 4 times since November of 2020. But who's counting? Kenny looks at his play sheet and does his best not to mutter off "fuck" as he heads into the huddle. Another Canada tight end special. Why is he obsessed with these, followed by an unnecessary deep shot on 3rd and 2, which doesn't connect, but it's the all-time hype man Marcus Allen running a sneak punt for the conversion, and boy doesn't that get the team going. Awesome combat catch by Chase the Bank, who keeps his legs churning for the Steelers' longest play of the day, and I gotta say, for as much hate as he gets, Chase has been playing as hard as anyone these last few weeks, as he sadly tries to market himself on the trade block. Well, this one will be talked about a lot. 3rd and 3, Pickett flips what looks like an easy conversion to Najee, who dances and fails to pick it up. Injury or no, it's clear that Najee just isn't seeing the field well this year, and possibly trying too hard on every play. Just a really ugly rep for the second year back. They run the same thing again on 4th and 2 though, and he runs straight ahead to get it. But again, trying too hard, he tries another unnecessary hurdle, and I don't want it to happen, but he is going to get hurt on one of these eventually, and I hate it. Does he have a running backs coach? Another straight ahead run for Jalen, who never met a first down he didn't like. And are the Steelers seriously threatening to make this a game? Pickett and Diontae aren't even on different pages. I don't even think they're reading the same book. Pickett fires incomplete on 3rd, and it's another lackluster red zone performance for the rookie quarterback, who continues to move it down the field, but stall inside the 20s. Fake Boz takes another 3, and I guess it's a 2-score game. Oh good, even the kickoff sucks. Steelers D gets off the field and keeps a glimmer of hope alive, but the Eagles punt is downed at the 1 because of course it f***ing is, and out trots the Canadian Army, which is simply put, the worst show on television. Pickett and DJ grab a little space with a completion followed by a PI, and at least Najee can grab a chunk occasionally against a garbage time defense. And don't look now, but the Steelers are making a genuine stab at getting back into this one. Kenny finds his main man Muth for a conversion on 2nd, and we thankfully head into the final stanza. A little miracle whip here from Matt Canada, who definitely thinks black pepper is spicy, and it's all just dressing on the bread that is the sandwich of our 5-star
play of the game.
As Pickett, the ball came out and taken off with it. This Philadelphia
Well, that was kinda fun while it lasted. Former 5-star matchup cast member and former Steeler great Javon Hargrave of course gets the strip sack on young Kenny Pickett, causing the fateful turnover for his new team, the Philadelphia Eagles, as I try my best not to throw up as I read that out loud. Alright, I'm not going to continue play-by-play from here on out. All you need to know is the Eagles punish the Steelers immediately and even bring in Gardner Minshew for mop-up duty. Yes, that's right, we've officially hit that level. And the Steelers mount yet another drive that gets to the red zone but sputters and dies on a tipped INT from Kenny Pickett. So at 2-6 and finally mercifully heading into their bye week, are the Steelers close to getting better? No, they're really not. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but no, I don't think they are. Do me a favor, if you haven't watched my most recent video, please do so after this. Basically, I believe the Steelers have been rebuilding since 2018, but they were somehow the last to know it. I believe the 2022 Pittsburgh Steelers, as they are constructed, is a team that was genuinely trying to take a stab at being competitive. They thought that they were gonna paste over the crater of leadership and experience created by Roethlisberger's departure by randomly choosing an experienced and mobile quarterback from the scrap heap of free agency. And by the way, you can go back and check the archives. I always felt Marcus Mariota was by far a better option than Trubisky if you wanted to do that. And you can just take a look at the standings if you think I was wrong. But the point is, what does it say about leadership that they thought this was the way forward? The owner, GM, and head coach looked at the play of their aging quarterback within the confines of this different for the sake of being different, but wildly unimaginative offense and said, no, it's not Matt Canada's fault, it's Ben Roethlisberger's. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't time to move on, it was. But how did you see this offense in camp and think that it had a chance to be successful against NFL defenses? Say whatever you want about the quarterback play of Trubisky and Pickett, or even Roethlisberger and Rudolph before them, but this is an offense that has scored 28 points or more just 4 times since November of 2020. We are seeing historically inept levels of production at almost all aspects of play. If you want to tell me you're seeing some good things from the offense, I guess you're entitled to your opinion, but I'm not really sure my bar is currently or ever will be that low. I mean, they were in the playoffs last year. Has the bar already lowered to the position of, at least we're not the worst team in the league? Oh, and by the way, are you absolutely sure the Steelers aren't the worst team in the league? While this game felt more competitive than the Bills blowout a few weeks back, I can't really sign off on saying that. Sure, the scoreboard wasn't as horrifying, but the Eagles knew they had absolutely nothing to be scared of, and they played like it. Why not employ a bend but don't break style when the opponent can barely even force you to bend in the first place? For me, this is the worst kind of loss and the most deflating one of the season, because it really drove home the simple but brutally painful fact that I've been making all this year, which is that the talent isn't the main reason the Steelers aren't competitive. Their roster isn't great, but they're so much lesser than the sum of their parts, and they still do business like it's the 90s. One look across the field to the Eagles, who were baseball-style buyers at the trade deadline despite being the best team in the league, and whose offense uses inventive and creative thinking to constantly put their players in advantageous matchups in both the run and pass games. A team that could somehow afford Javon Hargrave as one of their 50 defensive linemen, when we couldn't afford him as our second best defensive lineman. A team that could lose any of their front 7 and continue to pressure the quarterback, while the Steelers have lost their best player and become almost totally inept. It all just swirls around in my head and feels, frankly, terrible. I'm going to be brutally honest with you all right now. There are just so many questions in front of the Steelers, and they need at least half of them to be an emphatic yes if they're going to compete anytime soon. And with some of what we've seen from the franchise over the last 2 years, I can't really tell you with any conviction that I'm convinced they have the proper people in place to dig out of this deepening grave. Do they make the right hire to replace Matt Canada? What will they do with their highest draft pick in decades? Was Kenny Pickett the right choice? Was Najee? Will they ever finish building the offensive line? What young players have they been building on the defensive line? Will Diontae Johnson ever catch a touchdown again? Is Mike Tomlin about to lose his team? I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't answer these things. But hey, at least you have 2 weeks to think about them. Here we go. And if you're still here, I am stuck making a highlights show about a team that has no highlights to offer. Help a content creator out. Make sure you're subscribed and turn on notifications so you don't miss our live show during the week. And if you feel like it, head over to patreon.com/5SMU to join our Discord server.